Okay, Cisco ISE personas. We already discussed what is persona. Either personas basically determine the services provided by a Cisco node. Which services provided by Cisco node? So that is called persona. So persona is nothing but services. In Cisco ISE we have four type of persona: policy service node PSN, policy administration node PAN, monitoring and troubleshooting node MNT, and PX grade controller. These are the four personas. Means four different things which providing different services. These are called persona. So persona means the services, which services you are providing. You can configure single device, single node, single ISE node to play all these four roles. So if I go to my device 2.7 and if I go to administration system deployment and let me go to deployment, I have ISE 2 and these are the persona. They say that this device play a role of administration persona, monitoring persona, and policy service persona. Three persona. I can enable the fourth one as well. So I assume that you can play four roles. So let me choose this one, PX grid as well, and save. So it means one single box play four different roles. So if I go to deployment and I see Unity administration, monitoring, policy service, and PX grid. But if I change the, because it's a standalone, I can disable the don't play a role of PX grid persona. And I can disable the other one as well, but I need primary and secondary concept. So if I make them primary, now I can disable this the administration, this the monitoring persona, and this one the policy service persona. Now I can distribute the services between different devices. So this is called persona. The policy service node normally do make policy decision, read and take X services. Policy administration node is basically the thing which providing you the graphical user interface. Monitoring and troubleshooting, I will show you the logs and report, etc. And PX grid is, we will discuss separately. It's like an integrator with third party and Cisco other security product to integrate your Cisco ISE. So facilitate sharing of context basically. So PX grid persona play that role. So let's discuss the first persona, which is monitoring node, which we call them MNT. So basically MNT persona, either monitoring persona, role and services providing by this persona is to collect the logs and to generate the reports. This persona play this role. So it means monitoring node are persona MNT responsible for managing and storing the logs and responsible for troubleshooting tool in Cisco ISE and responsible for reporting. Maximum we can deploy 2 MNT if we want distributed deployment. Then maximum per deployment is required 2. One primary and the other one is secondary. Either one MNT active, the other one is passive. So this MNT services is to receive the logs and to generate the report of the connected device, unknown device, whatever, you can generate report. This MNT or persona receive logs from PAN, PSN, RDS and TechX, whatever you have. Where is this MNT? So let me go to this operation. This operation menu, you see, this nothing but MNT. Is providing RDS logs, is providing TechX logs, and providing NAC live logs, and it's providing troubleshooting, and it's provide reports. So this operational menu is nothing but MNT. And if in deployment, this monitoring, if you uncheck them, so you say that I don't need this operation menu, this services. And if you click, because right now I don't have another device, I can make primary and secondary. One primary, the other one secondary, as I told you. And normally per deployment you require two. One primary MNT and the other one is secondary MNT. Either one active, the other one is passive listener. So this context visibility, this operation, this is nothing, these two is nothing but MNT to provide you logs, troubleshoot and reports. Okay, done. Coming to the other persona is policy administration node. So policy administration node where we log in to configure policies, where we configure and modify authentication and authorization policies, where we perform administrative tasks that services provided by policy administration node, responsible for synchronize with other nodes, as also providing by policy administration node, to maintain and responsible for overall deployment configuration. Again, who is responsible? Policy administration node. Responsible to provide graphical user interface to configure and manage everything, is also by policy administration node. And maximum per deployment we need two again, one active and the other one is one active, the other one is passive. Either one primary, second one secondary. If one down, the other will work. And it can be standalone, it can be primary and secondary. So like licenses, admin audit, authentication, etc. we configure and policy administration node. And let me show you, this administration tab is nothing but PAN, policy administration node. Either policy administration node or PAN. So this is PAN. You see, like a deployment we need to come here. For licenses we need to come here. For certificate we need to come here. For maintenance we need to come here. For upgrade and downgrade we need to come here. For backup and restore we need to come here. For network devices we need to come here. That's why this is administration node, and the GUI I took this one is by this administration node. And if you go to deployment, so this administration which is written here is nothing but PAN. You see, administration persona is written. This was monitoring persona. And this one is policy service persona. And this the fourth persona, PS grid. It's written as well when you take over the mouse. Okay, so this administration is nothing but PAN, policy administration node, and I told you this administration menu is altogether PAN. PAN can be one primary and one secondary per deployment. Now coming to the last persona, not the last, there is a PS grid as well, as policy service node. This policy service node is responsible to process request of authentication, authorization, profiling, etc. And maximum per deployment we can use up to 50. And there is no concept of active passive. There is no concept of primary and secondary, keep in mind. And policy service node, there is no concept of active passive. All of them will be active and work together on the same time. So up to 50 we can deploy per deployment. And this is responsible to get the request of authentication, authorization and profiling. So PSN provide network access, posture, guest access, client provisioning, profiling services as well. And there must be at least one policy service persona and distributed environment. It must require. And small deployment maximum of 2 is required. And medium deployment maximum of 5 is required. And large deployment up to 50 you can deploy. So guest portal are hosted on policy service node. Certificate services built on that also require policy service node. And if we go to policy tab, this is nothing but PSN. So this is PSN, this tab is nothing but PSN. Policy set, posture, policy element, dictionary, condition, result, profiling, client provisioning. So client provisioning, profiling, posture, policy and all these stuff is nothing but PSN. And this tab is nothing but PSN tab. And in deployment, this one is policy services. This policy services. So administration was this one, this is MNT and this policy services. So this was third persona, which is active. And if you go to administration, system deployment, VRA, I am already. So the first one is PAN, second one is MNT and policy services is PSN. And the last persona is PX grid. And these are called PAN, policy administration node, either administration persona. PSN means policy service persona or policy service node. Monitoring persona, MNT, either monitoring node. And PX grid persona, either PX grid node. So these are the 4 persona and 4 different services which they are providing. And how many we can deploy them per deployment is per requirement. Okay, and so we discussed this one. There are 4 persona. Persona is nothing but the services provided by Cisco ISE node. It can be virtual and it can be a physical. Monitoring basically used for log collection and report generation. And it can be active passive and maximum we can deploy 2. Then policy administration node, maximum we can deploy 2. One of them is primary, the other one is secondary. Okay, and the third one is policy service node. There is no concept of active passive. There is no concept of primary secondary. All of them will be primary. Okay, and this one is policy service node. Maximum we can deploy 50, but it's up to your deployment. And small deployment is 2, medium deployment up to 5, and large deployment up to 50 we can do it. And then I show you from here. The last one is PX grid, because it's separate, there is a separate task. So we will discuss them there. Okay, but right now these are the four different personas.